All right, so here we go. First dream. First dream that I want to share with you guys happened. Um, this was probably 2 or 3 months ago. Just so you know a little bit about myself, about a year ago, I was officially diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. And I know that in our culture, people will joke about that a lot, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so OCD," and whatever. But actual OCD is zero fun. So anyway, just to be quick, I had kind of a crash after we had our third child. I kind of started flipping out and had a few episodes, and so eventually just pursued counseling. And once I got into that, they recommended medication, and so I've been on meds for about 5 or 6 months now, and it's great, and I love it. But part of the problem, or just the natural consequence of medication, is the side effects. And the problem with side effects is that you don't ever really know whether or not the side effects are being caused by the meds. So for instance, exhaustion or drowsiness or whatever, it could be that I have 3 kids and I'm just tired all the time. Or it could be the meds, who knows. But one thing that I have noticed that since I've been on those meds is that my dreams, which were already very realistic and detailed and vivid, have just become much more so, like hyper vivid. And I have all kinds of, they're like memories right now. I know it didn't really happen, but they're like memories. Anyway, so this is a dream that I had about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was on meds, and so it's just really weird. But here we go. There's a lot of details in this dream that I can't share on the internet because they're either going to be super awkward, inappropriate, too graphic. But anyway, here we go. The dream started with me watching a YouTube video, ironically, and it was a video of a guy who had scars all over his body. His shirt was off, and he just had these cuts and scars all over his body, and he had a chemical burn on his left rib cage. And on top of all these scars were tattoos with words on them. And particularly on the tattoo on his left rib cage, it said, "Die, die, die," with exclamation marks after each word. And he was crying in the video, and he was screaming and saying that all these tattoos are representing revenge on the bullies who gave him those tattoos. So he was apparently abused and bullied when he was a kid, and the tattoos were like revenge statements of what he was going to do to these bullies one day. And I was really disturbed by the video, and I talked to my wife Mandy about it in the dream. And I was just like, "Hey, have you seen this video?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to watch that." And she said, "Hey, we got to go. We're running late to a Christmas party." And I said, "Okay, all right, fine." So we got into a Sonata. Was the car that we got into. Is that a Kia? I don't know, but I know it was a Sonata. And we drove down a neighborhood, and we turned onto a street called Rosemary Lane, and pulled up to this house. It was Christmas time, obviously. It was snowing outside, and we go into this house. I see the architecture of the house in my mind right now. And a woman named Vivian opens the door and says, "Welcome," and we walk inside, and we start having a fun time and talking and having conversations, and she starts passing around cookies from a cookie tray. And I notice on the cookie tray that there are 2 rainbow-shaped cookies with rainbow sprinkles colored on them. And a guy named Tyler grabbed one, and then Vivian grabbed the other one. And everyone eats a cookie, and we keep talking and stuff, and there's music going in the background. And after about 10 minutes or so, some girl comes in and she says, "Hey, we got you guys." And everyone's really confused. It's like, "What do you mean?" And she gets her laptop out and starts streaming to the TV a video that she filmed of Vivian and Tyler making out in the car in the garage. And they're all like, "Oh," and they're all embarrassed. And we were like, "What? Why were they making out? They just met." And one of the hosts said that the rainbow cookies were like these aphrodisiac cookies that, made you turned on towards one another. And I was like, that's super messed up. And my friend Tanner actually was in the dream, and he said, hey, why don't, don't get too frustrated about this, Johnny. Let's go into the kitchen and look on the TV on the wall. It was a Vizio TV on the wall, and just to my right was an oven that was a Lenmo brand. I don't even know if that's a brand, but it was Lenmo. That was on the oven. Anyway, he says, how about, let's just watch this video of me singing at a wedding recently. And I was like, okay, cool. So we start watching this video, and I remember just being so frustrated because in my head I said, what if my wife ate one of those cookies and Tyler ate one of those cookies? So I went and asked Tyler, I said, hey dude, what if my wife ate one of those cookies? What would you have done? And he just kind of laughed about it and was like, I don't know, man. And I got so angry, and Mandy in my dream was like, I don't know what I would have done. And I just remember I got so frustrated with her. So I said, you're taking a taxi home. I'm taking the Sonata, and I gotta go for a drive because I'm so angry. So we left the party, and she was kind of frustrated and whatnot. And I remember I got in the car, drove out of the neighborhood, and as I turned out of the neighborhood, a mailman in a mail truck was driving into the neighborhood backwards, very fast. And I remember he was just swerving everywhere and going left and right. And so I got onto the side of the road, and he just missed me. And I remember his name was Mr. Brown, and he turned to me and was like, hey, like as he went by, and it was just super weird. And I was like, why was he driving like that? So anyway, I get to the end of the street, I turn left out of the neighborhood, and I keep driving down these swervy roads, and I end up in a really bad part of town. It's nighttime, it's snowing, there are these oil drums all over the sidewalks with fires and homeless people like warming their hands over them. And I get to a stoplight, and I look around and I realize there's just groups of people all over the place, and I know in my head in the dream that they're gangs. And I'm at the stoplight waiting, and I'm feeling like, all right, I gotta get moving, and these gangs start surrounding my car, and I get really nervous, and one of them pounds on the hood, and it freaks me out, so I just floor it, gun it through the red light, turn left, and go up to a side street, and the dream just goes black, and I flash forward, and suddenly I am in. This is where it gets hard to explain. I see it in my head, but okay, so it's like an abandoned town, and it's an apartment complex, and it's like a square, tall tower apartment complex, but inside, each room is on the outer walls, and every room comes into an inner balcony that goes all the way down the tower. I hope that makes sense. And I see that I am in a bathroom, and I have leeches all over my body, and I see in the bathtub beside me there's a pool of water, and there's leeches floating around in the water, and I look to my left, and there's a guy passed out in the bathroom, and he's got leeches all over his body, he's got sores all over his face and stuff, and I just know in my head that this is some kind of facility where we're held captive and we're abused and forced to do things and stuff, and it was just like, I knew I gotta get out of here. So I jump over the balcony edge and like grab on and start climbing down one balcony at a time. I'm dropping one after another, trying to get down to the very bottom, to the ground level. And when I land, I'm in a ginormous bathtub, and I'm very small. And there's a guy, huge fat guy, in the tub, just sitting there almost passed out, and he sees me. And so I'm like this microscopic, like really tiny, I don't know why. And the guy's like, where do you think you're going? And he tries to stop me. And I remember I suddenly grew and was as big as him, and I pinned him against the wall, and I said, don't touch me, I'm getting out of here. And so as I was holding him, I was looking around trying to figure out how to get out of there. And I saw on the tile of the wall of the bathtub that there was all this grimy tile, but there was like new looking tile with like a sealant around the edge, and I knew this is a window that was covered up with tile. So I start peeling the tile away, and it's a window, and so I open the window, and this gust of cold air comes in. It's snowing outside, and I look, and there's like an awning covered in snow, slanted down, and I know that it's covering a set of stairs that are leading down to the parking lot. And so I just get out the window, I turn around, and I start sliding down this awning on my stomach on the snow. And I remember even feeling my thumbs getting numb as I slid down. And as I got to the edge, I landed on the ground and had almost no clothes on and was freezing cold. And I remember in the dream thinking, I've got to get out of here, but I can't I gotta find a place to hide too, but I can't go to like a rescue mission or something like that because it's probably gonna be just like this place and they're gonna keep me captive. And I was just, I remember being terrified. So I start running and, sorry, I gotta leave out a few details here because this is on the internet. I find a motorcycle helmet on the ground because I think I gotta disguise my face so nobody knows who I am. So I put a motorcycle helmet on my head. Man, I'm at 8 minutes, so I'm just trying to keep this under 10. Put a motorcycle helmet on my head, and I'm running through this abandoned town in the snow, freezing cold. And as I'm trying to get away, 2 guys on a motorcycle. One guy's driving the motorcycle, the other guy's standing up on the seat on his shoulders, holding on, like riding. And he points at me and he says, "Hey, there's that jerk Lamar." And he calls me Lamar for some reason. I don't know why that's my name. And so I can just see that they're gonna get me. And so they gun it and they're coming after me. And so I'm running and I find this scaffolding like outside of a building, a cement building. And I start climbing the scaffolding to get away from them. And I see that the poles of the scaffolding are like ornate metalwork of leaves and flowers and stuff. And I'm climbing up this scaffolding and I see this pipe sticking out towards the scaffolding that's a little further on, and I decide to jump for it. But as I jump for it, it starts spinning me around, and I'm just holding onto this pipe, and it's spinning. And they start laughing because they realize I'm stuck and I can't go anywhere. And they get out this Super Soaker squirt gun, and they said, "Hey Lamar, look out!" And they start squirting me, and I yell out, "What is that stuff?" And they said, "It's ionized water." I was like, okay, that's not a problem. And then they said, "Hey, look out, this isn't going to go well." And there are holes in the pipe that I'm holding onto, and they start spraying me, and I feel it burning my skin. And I said, "What is that stuff?" And they said, "Citric acid." So apparently citric acid and ionized water create burning sensation? I don't know. And so I feel it pouring down my body, but because of how I'm holding the pipe, it comes down my arm and on my left rib cage. And in the dream, I realize at that moment that I am the kid from the YouTube video at the beginning of the dream, and I'm getting a chemical burn on my left rib cage. And then I woke up. So that is the first dream. Let me know what you guys think.